Oh, so I'm going. Sorry. Hey, everyone. Just Shane Callahan here with BK and Joe McKowen, our guests for today, where we talk about your wealth and growing your wealth and wellness and a lot of other good things like that. The FIRE movement and increasing not only your financial wealth, but your physical and mental wealth and all that good stuff. So, welcome, Joe.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Sure. So why don't you just talk a little bit about yourself and tell us about your business to start with?
Yeah, you bet. So I'm a professional coach, focused typically in the area of personal finance, and kind of got into this business understanding that most Americans have a struggle or anxiety around their personal finance, and it really doesn't matter their level of income, their level of net worth. I mean, I've had people with $15 million net worths. I've had people with $30 million companies, and they still, for a variety of reasons, have some level of anxiety about their finance. So I help people to create a plan that they can have confidence in, and contrary or different than the Dave Ramsey type of approach or the Susie Orman type of approach. Which is, the FIRE approach, right? Which is kind of a little more based on frugality and cutting expenses and making sure you live within your limits. Rather than that, I try to focus on personal growth and living an abundant life and bringing and welcoming as much money into your life as you possibly can. And really, we do that by helping people to achieve goals that for a lot of people they never thought were possible, or bring money in that they never thought was possible, and we really keep that focus on personal growth and development on the income side rather than the expense cutting side.
Perfect. How would you say you talk about goals? So how would you say you help people achieve those? I mean, it sounds like you're working with high net worth people, and a lot of people might think, hey, they know everything, but obviously they're coming to you with wanting some information and some help. So
yeah,
what do you do to help people achieve some of those goals?
Yeah. So well, first let's separate goal setting from goal achieving, okay? Because the truth of it is most people don't fail to achieve a goal because they're incompetent or stupid or lazy or anything like that, right? Most of the time people fail to achieve a goal not on the goal achieving side, but rather on the goal setting side. So you have to understand a little bit about human nature and how people work in order to understand why they didn't achieve their goals. So what we really try to do is we try to avoid mistakes as you're setting your goal. Okay. Now, setting goals, similar to how you have 5 senses that help you perceive the world, right? Your sight, your smell, your taste, your hearing, your touch. Well, you also have 6 intellectual intellectual faculties that help you perceive and shape your world, okay? The 3 that we try to focus on are reason, imagination, and intuition, okay? And goal setting is an intellectual process. I mean, it's your thinking brain that helps you to create goals, all right? Goal achieving is a law-abiding process, meaning there's rules and there's laws that take place that help you that you have to follow in order to help you achieve the goal. So when we're helping people to achieve goals, when I'm helping people to achieve goals, I first focus on avoiding the big mistakes when setting the goal, okay? Now, those 3 3 that I'm going to talk about that are the big highlights. The first one is people set goals that they know they can achieve, okay? So what does that mean? I mean, it's kind of like, think about, you guys are both business owners and you, I assume, create goals in your business, right? And when you're looking to do that, I assume you kind of, you say, all right, well, what did we do last year? What am I going to look at this year? And you don't want to set some, big fat hairy goal that you think is impossible, but rather you set something that you believe is in your realm of possibility. Okay. Well, when you do that, the first thing that requires you go from where you are to a different place. Okay. So when you're going from where you are to a different place, for most people, almost everybody, the first thing that happens is you get met with some sort of resistance, some sort of challenge, right? you're faced with an incompetence, you're faced with a fear, you're faced with a reality in the marketplace, right? So you have to understand there's a relationship between that fear, that incompetence, the energy that it requires to overcome that, and the result, right? There's a relationship between pain, energy, and results. Well, when you set a goal that was something you can achieve or you believe you can achieve, oftentimes you actually fail because the reward isn't big enough for you to overcome those obstacles. You just kind of say, yeah, I didn't hit the goal, but so, it's okay, right? Because the reward wasn't big enough. So the first mistake is not setting goals that you believe you can achieve, but rather setting goals that are big and visionary, and you have no idea how you're going to get there, okay? The second thing that people do when they fail is they make a goal according to a plan, right? So this is one that I often do, and possibly you guys do as well, right? You say, I have this market condition, I have this pipeline, I have this what I did last year, and if I just do this, this, and this, and this, then I'm going to hit this number. Okay, well then that number is my goal, right? You try to follow this plan. Well, then life happens. Then coronavirus happens. Then all these worldly things come into play, but you're so focused on the plan that you forget about the goal, right? And I've worked for companies. I worked for a company in particular that was really good at goal setting, or really they loved setting goals. But what they oftentimes did was they would say, we got the goal, we have the plan, or we have the play, they called it. We have the play, we're gonna run the play, right? And then everything happens in the world, and you have employees that get fired, you have people that you lose, the market crashes, and they say, run the play. And you're like, yeah, I think we need to call an audible here because the play's not working. But they never called audibles, right? Because we set the play and we run the play. So what ends up happening is you fail to achieve that goal because it wasn't about the goal anymore, rather it was about the play or the plan, okay? Third thing is that people require themselves to know how they're going to achieve the goal before they set the goal, all right? So this means that somebody's going to sit there and they're going to kind of like we're running the play, right? You think that you have to know how to do it. Well, that means that you're saying to yourself that you have everything you currently need to become the person that you want to become. And that's just not the case, right? Otherwise, there's no goal there, right? Because you already are that person. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. What would be the reason that a person might set a goal? Like, why would you set a goal inside of your business? What's the reason for that?
Oftentimes, I'll set a goal because, like you said, it's something I hope to achieve. It's an aspiration that I have. It's a momentum or a milestone that I think would give me, credibility or prestige, or financially would make me, X amount of dollars, which allows me to, I usually have rewards that I give myself when I hit my goal. So, if I close this many loans, great, I can buy XYZ product or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. People like to check that box, right? So it's like, all right, like you were saying, you can set that goal knowing you're going to achieve it because you can set that or check that box, and that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
This is, I think what you're saying is stretching out that goal to, challenge yourself more.
Okay, so I'll ask you this: when somebody is like, say you're 16 years old, okay, or you're about to be 16, and you want to get your driver's license, right? So that your goal is to get your driver's license, right? And there's a process laid out for you to get that, right? You have to go through your permit, you have to have certain hours, you have to pass the test, right? So they give you the steps that you need to get to achieve that goal, okay? Why do you want your driver's license? Like, why? Why is that the goal?
The freedom, right?
Okay, so that's exactly right. It's not to be a person that drives. I mean, it's not to actually get the license. It's to be a person that can drive a car legally, right? So the purpose of a goal is not to achieve the goal. The purpose of the goal is to become the person who can achieve those certain things, right? Who can do those certain things. So when you set a goal based upon you needing to know how to accomplish it, you're saying that you are already a person who can do that, rather than saying, I'm going to have to step outside. I'm going to have to stretch. I'm going to have to grow. And I'm going to have to become a person who can do these certain things, right? So it is about checking the box, but really what's more deep down inside is that it's about becoming the person who can check that box. Okay. So the third failure, the third mistake of goal setting is to set goals that you know how to achieve before you set it. Okay. So go back to the intellectual faculties. Okay. First one is, when there's 6 of them, we're going to say 3 of them. There's reason, right? And this is your logical thinking brain. There's imagination, there's intuition. Those are the 3. So when you set a goal that you know you can achieve, you're not using your imagination and you're not using your gut. You're just using reason. Reason is how most people set goals, and it's a bad way to set goals. Intuition is your gut, right? What's deep down inside of you? Wayne Dyer said, when you pray, that's you talking to God. But when you, and this is an exact quote, right? But he says, when your intuition is God talking to you, right? So you're going off of your gut there with intuition. Well, intuition often doesn't set goals for most people, but it should. You should set your goal based upon your gut, what you feel that you're capable of, okay? The next thing is imagination. That's when you say, I got to have a plan, I got to know that I can achieve it, right? That's not imagination. Your imagination says, what could I possibly do? What might be out there? What world can I invent, right? Because imagination is something where you're creating something from nothing, right? There's nothing there, but your imagination says, ooh, what if I, right? That's what we want to use to set goals. And that's not what people often do. Therefore, they fail to achieve them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the, I think it's Richard Branson quote, at least I've seen it attributed to him, where it's something to the effect of, say yes and then figure out how to do it. Don't figure out how to do something and then say yes or no.
Yeah.
If the opportunity presents itself. And I suppose it's kind of the same thing with goals, right? It's like, hey, let's use your imagination. What crazy idea can you think of or accomplishment and just attack it?
Yeah. And it's also a matter of creating a specific goal, right? It's like when you ask your kid what they want for Christmas, if they say stuff, like that leaves you with nothing, right? Leaves you with nothing. But if they say, I want this big, I want this cool thing, I want this creative thing, I want exactly this, and it's big and inventive, now you know, right? You know what you're shooting for, So it's specific, but it's imagination.
Joe, I got a question for you then.
Yeah.
So if people create goals without knowing how to achieve them, what does a coach help them make progress? Like how does that part work?
Yeah. So, okay. So think back to what we said when I said, you have to set a goal that puts you out of your comfort zone, right? And leads you into a zone of what is truly known as incompetence, right? So I'm going to go back to driving the car. I'm going to go back to that example. Okay. So think of, this is the process of growth. You start out with unconscious incompetence, okay? Unconscious incompetence, meaning you can't do something and you're not even aware that you can't do it, okay? Now think about driving a car, like a 4-year-old. I got a 4-year-old. He has no idea that he's not capable of driving a car. It doesn't even cross his mind, right? When he hops in a car, he's in the back seat, and that's just what it's always been, okay? But eventually he's going to become 15 years old, and he's going to enter a level of conscious incompetence, okay? Now he's fully aware, he's totally conscious and aware that he doesn't know how to drive a car, right? And then he says to himself, oh, I want to learn to drive this car, right? I want to do this, okay? So that's when he sets this goal. I'm going to get my driver's license. Now, then he enters a realm immediately of conscious competence. Once he sits behind that wheel, right, he says, okay, there's a blinker, there's a shifter, there's 2 pedals, and he's now in a zone of consciousness, and he's working on being confident. Okay, well, most people, if they're all by themselves, that's somewhere where they hit that, that resistance, right? That fear, that challenge, and they quit. Well, that's where the coach says, okay, hey, hang on. We're not quitting, right? You have a vision, you have a goal. Remember, you have the potential to do this. Nobody told you that stepping outside of who you used to be is going to be met with immediate competence. In fact, I tell people, I had a call yesterday where a lady said, I tried it, it didn't work. She was setting up a group training program, and she said, I'm trying it, but it's not working. I didn't get enough people in. And I said, that's not what's going on, right? What's going on is you just don't know how to do it yet, but you're going to keep trying, right? You're going to keep figuring out how to use the blinker. You're going to keep figuring out how to use the shifter. You're going to keep understanding those pedals, right? You're going to keep working at it. And then eventually Once you work it enough, you're going to enter the fourth realm, which is unconscious competence, right? So unconscious competence when it comes to driving a car is when you say, I can drive, I can eat, I can talk on the phone, I can drink, and I can get to my destination safely without even thinking of it. I didn't even I got in the car, I did all of that stuff, and now I'm here, right? You became the person who can do that stuff, right? That's why achieving a goal is not about the goal, right? It's about it be the person who can get to the goal, becoming that person. So how does a coach help you? Well, a coach helps you by making sure you stay accountable to that original goal, that vision, making sure that you understand the process, right? Listening to you, understanding how you can overcome the challenges that you face, helping you to think, helping you to gain a new level of consciousness about what's going on inside of you, so that you don't, rather than feeling like a failure, you instead understand the process of growth, right? And you're willing to work through that. And you have somebody who's invested in your success, right? My only goal in coaching is to help you achieve your goals. So in doing that and understanding how people work, this is what we talk about, right? What challenges are there? What's the way forward? How can you overcome? This is why you help people to what I say. I'm going to help you reach your true potential. That makes sense?
Makes sense. No,
Yeah.
That's good. So
Good
let's circle back a little bit to the people you typically work with. You talked about high income business owners. Is there more specific groups, or do you specialize in certain people that are looking for specific goals, for example?
Yeah. So my typical client almost always, and this isn't necessarily who I market to on Instagram or anything like that. This is kind of, or even doing podcast interviews. It's just kind of what has ended up transpiring, probably the nature of my background. I've owned a couple restaurants, I've started a couple businesses, I've been on the board of directors for a couple businesses, and I've been a realtor for 12 years. So, and I have a couple rental properties. So kind of by default, I guess, I ended up primarily working with real estate investors that are looking to grow and expand. I work with business owners who are looking to grow and expand. And I work with high income individuals who maybe are looking to develop those habits of success, that mindset, and maybe shift into real estate investing, forming habits of success that give them a rise within their company. Those are my typical groups. So, but one of the things I would say is most common, well, it's everybody, is that everybody comes into coaching with what we call the vision gap, okay? The vision gap exists when the path you're on, or the path you think you're on, is not in alignment or is not the path you want to be on, okay? So your current reality is not the reality that you want, right? And you might be unconscious of this, but there's something inside you that says, I can do more. Like there's more here, right? I can do more with this life, okay? Well, I help people to create awareness around where they're at, to make sure they're developing the habits and the mindset of success. I help people to understand that, create clarity around that vision, okay? So vision is as important. A vision is a clear mental image of your preferred future, all right? So if you think about that, a clear mental image of your preferred future, or a highly detailed mental image of your preferred future. Go back to the asking your kid what they want for their birthday, and if they say, stuff, then you're left with nothing, right? If you go back, if you think like you're going to write a letter to somebody and you're like, well, what do I say? And you're like, just throw some letters on the page and you'll be fine. Like, no, you're probably going to have to be more clear and specific than that, right? So you help people to create clarity in their vision, you help them to understand where they're at, and then you help them to close that vision gap. But the thing is never does somebody wake up and say, okay, vision gap's closed, right? Like you never wake up and go, all right, I'm done. It's never over. So I have people who start with me for 90 days of coaching, and I've been with them for 3 years, because what we've started to realize is once you become this person in this vision gap, the vision moves. You want more, you grow more, right? Never do you get your license, you sit in a car, you take one trip around the neighborhood and you say, I'm a person that can drive now, so I'm gonna go back to the couch. Like that's not how it happens. So that's the people I typically work with, is people that want that continuous growth and that drive and that abundance in their life, which is why I say different than the Dave Ramsey, don't go to Starbucks and don't eat out for dinner and put your money in the S&P 500. There's only so much meat on that bone, right? I focus on growth and opportunities and abundance in your life.
Joe, I want to circle back around. You mentioned stretching yourself. You're stretching yourself outside of the realm of competence.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips or suggestions or ideas on how to help people just expand? I mean, obviously, they're going to need to sign up with you in order to get the full thing. But is there any kind of little nuggets of advice that you can give us?
Yeah. So my thing that I think is the first step for anybody is awareness, right? You have to have awareness. Now think back to the vision gap, okay? You have to be aware of where you're at today, and you have to be aware of that vision, right? You just have to take inventory of yourself, you know, your what you've got going on. You have to be aware of this vision. You want to create this vision that you don't use those 3 mistakes that I talked about in the goal creation process, right? Rather, you just create think of the word, the definition of vision again, highly detailed mental image of your preferred future, not the future you think is possible based upon what you know, not the future that you heard about some other person saying, not the future that your neighbor has. It's your preferred future. You create clarity around that. Okay. Now, some people say, well, I don't know. I'm like, well, there's your problem right there. There's your problem. If you're wandering, then you don't get there, right? Because you're wandering. So what bit of nugget does a person walk with? I'm like, create clarity around your vision and make it big and make it what you prefer. And that sometimes for a lot of people takes time. Like time praying, time meditating, time with yourself, time walking alone without your headphones on. One of the things I always say to people, I say, what's your vision? If they don't know, I say, how much time do you spend on social media? And almost always, it's a ton of time. I'm like, you're asking other people what your vision is. There's your problem. Stop asking other people what your vision is. Stop looking for your vision on the internet. Your vision's in here, right? It's in here. That's what people need to do. Then, and the other thing, fall back to the 3 mistakes. Well, how am I going to get there? Don't worry about it, right? Well, what's my plan? Don't worry about it, right? You'll work. You fall in love with growth and get out of your realm of competence. That's where goals come from, is one step at a time towards your vision. Don't worry about those mistakes that we're talking about. Aware of where you're at today. The reason finances fall into this, one of the first things I do with everybody is help them fill out this, what I call the money spreadsheet, right? And their money spreadsheet helps them to gain clarity on where their money's going today, not to put them in a place of limitations, but a place of awareness on what they're doing today. Because the fact of the matter is there is as Les Brown, well, some people say it's Les Brown, others say it's Zig Ziglar, say, money's not the most important thing in life, but it's right up there with oxygen, right? So if you're not aware of what's going on with your money and you're suffocating, I'm like, well, that's probably step 1, right? Is to gain awareness on what your money's doing, because you have to be able to feed those other parts of your life, like your hobbies, your family, your health, your wellness, right? You have to feed that with your finances. So we have to get control of ourselves before we can become the person in the vision, right? You're not like going to chaotically arrive there by mere chance. You have to have control, but you have to also have that broad imagination on how to get there.
Right. Like anything, there's a balance of figuring out, right, getting that foundational piece down, the budget and the spending, and then utilizing that to leverage that to take those next steps. I think that's for me in my business, that's kind of the big talking points, I think, also.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about the clarity and meditating and things like that. I mean, do you see from a wellness perspective, we brought this up a couple of times. And I think once people go through this, even though they may not be focusing on their physical or mental health or wellness, I think when they have that clarity, that will naturally just improve. I mean, do you see that? I know that's not necessarily a focus for you, but I'm just interested to hear your thoughts. You might see that, separately or independently of what you're actually, coaching.
Yeah. Every time. Yeah. I can honestly say, I bet you I guess not every time. I bet you 98% of the people I coach, once we start and I say I'm a financial coach, because of that, money is not the most important thing in life, but it's right up there with oxygen, right? So it's like, you have to have that thing, right? You have to have your money down. But once you start to focus on that improving, why do you want, it's kind of like, why do you want money? Do you want money so that you can stare at a number in your bank account? Probably not, right? You want money so that you can buy the house, do the vacation, wear nicer clothes, eat better food, join the gym, do things with your family, do things with your friends. Know that you have a plan and a path to retirement, right? You want money in a way. So one of the things I first do with people is I have them fill out what is called the wheel of balance. Okay, the wheel of balance is a circle, and it takes your life and chops it up into 8 pieces, right? And it's your physical environment, it's your health, it's your money, it's your career, it's your personal relationships, whatever. I wasn't counting, but we'll get up to 8 there. And there's 8 key areas that are almost always important to everybody, right? And I tell people, hey, if you can come up with a better list than the ones on it, then more power to you. That's great. But these are the 8 that most people care about, right? Mm-hmm. We say, well, what area is lacking the most? Now, almost everybody has lacking the most with money, okay? But once we fill up that money piece, and the vision grows, right? The money piece might be full, but the other pieces, if they're not full, right, then you have to direct your energy to fill that piece up, right? You have to create those goals. Well, if somebody says, geez, it's my money and it's my health, I'm like, well, those are going to go hand in hand, right? Because you're not much use to yourself if your soul, your body, and your bank account, or your soul, your body, and your brain are failing, right? It's probably not much use there. So we have to have that health. We have to have the relationships. We have to have the personal development. We have to have the good physical environment. And the thing with money is, well, the reason he says it's right up there with oxygen is because that's what fuels and feeds those other areas of your life. So inevitably, once you focus on the money, you decide what to do with it, and it goes to those other parts of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know, BK, do you have any more questions here? I think I'm ready to get on my day and get some motivation going here.
I was going to say, you got me pumped. You got me ready to go, Joe. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. I mean, I'm sure there's always going to be kind of questions and things that come up. So how can people reach you, Joe, if they wanted to learn more about what you do? Or
my company is worthylegacy.com. You can also get there through through joemckowen.com. They both go to the same worthylegacy.com. My email is joe@joemckowen.com, and you can find me on Instagram at worthy.legacy. I think I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn. I think my LinkedIn is Joseph McKowen. I don't even know what my Twitter is. Don't worry about it. It's worthy.legacy on Instagram, or email joe@joemckowen.com.
Right. Awesome. Well, this is fantastic. I think this really helps, wrap or combine the finances and wellness and just all these other pieces that are really important nowadays.
Yep.
Just to link in and to connect and, start leaving legacies for your family and change that, whatever that looks like for you. And, everyone has different goals and aspirations, but at the end of the day, you start improving those and growing those, that's going to relieve all that stress and other things and just improve your overall life. So that's perfect.
Yeah. The one thing, don't get back is your time, right? I mean, you just don't get your time back. So, if I always tell people, and some people I meet with every week, some every other week, some every month, as when somebody says, I say, how'd the last month go or week or whatever? And they say, that was okay. Not much has changed. I'm like, huge problem, right? Huge problem. Like, why are we even here, right? If not much has changed, then what did you do, right? And then that's,
why are you paying me?
Why are you paying me? Why'd you even wake up, right? You could have, not much could have changed. One of the laws I talk about with achieving goals is the law of vibration, right? The law of vibration says everything's constantly changing. It's either falling apart or it's growing, right? This house I'm living in is falling apart at a very slow pace, but if it was left untouched over time, it would fall down, right? Mm-hmm. Well, same with your life, right? So you can't be in a state of constant maintenance. Constant maintenance means you are going down, right? You have to be in a state, and it's just falling on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You have to fall in a state of self-fulfillment, of growth and abundance and reach. That's why the Dave Ramsey and the Susie Orman method I don't subscribe to, because I'm like, all that is keep you on a flat plane of maintenance and let the world be what the world will be, and you just hang out in it. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Not interested.
Love that. That's fantastic. Thank you.
All right, guys. Hey, have a great day.
All right. You too. Thanks.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, well, I want to thank everyone for watching this and listening. Hopefully you found some valuable insight here. Feel free to reach out to Joe, reach out to us if you have any questions. Again, my name is Shane Callahan, founder of Endurance Wealth Planning, a fee-only financial planning practice out of Denver, but we're virtual, work throughout the country. And really just help, kind of what Joe said, I would say the next level of just helping people take those next steps and goals and figure out more on the investment side in that some of that other planning, financial planning aspects that you have going on in life. And you can reach me at endurancewealthplanning.com would be the easiest, or Shane@endurancewealthplanning.com.
Fantastic. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. I am BK. My legal name is Benjamin Martin. You can reach me at bk@amglending.com. That's my email address. Check out my Facebook page, facebook.com/Benjamin Martin MLO 932357. I post all kinds of fun, goofy memes. It's not super business related, but it's a good time, and a lot of people enjoy it. We got some contests and stuff going on over there. So if you have any questions I'm a mortgage loan officer, so if you have any questions about purchasing, refinancing, what the market is doing, anything like that, you can reach me at 720-575-1999. Again, 720-575-1999. Leave some comments below if you have any suggestions, tips, ideas on how to make this better. We love hearing from you guys. And yeah, thank you, Shane, and
All right.
thank you, Joe.
Thanks everyone.